Tomorrow morning, thousands of students across the country will walk out of class in protest.
It is happening exactly 1 month since 17 people were shot to death at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida.
Tomorrow's mission, bring attention to the growing issues of gun violence and overall safety in the classroom.
Well, last night, Mary Alice and I was able to sit down with 5 student members of the Western New York chapter of the National Federation for Just Communities.
You'll hear what they think needs to be done to keep our schools safe in this Two on Your Side original report.
What would it take for administrators to do to make you feel safer in your school?
It's a very hard topic to talk about. So if we could all get together and just say, hey, this is what happened. We are acknowledging it not only in individual classrooms, but as a whole school. And we want to hear your feedback on what you think would help. I think that even just hearing, having teachers hear out what students have to say would make a difference.
Destiny, what about you? What does this walk, in your opinion, mean to your school?
In my opinion, it gives students the chance to opportunity to express how they feel about the situation, because like Olivia said, we feel like it's not really safe anymore to attend our schools, depending on how many school shootings had occurred so far, and we want to feel safe and want to honor those who have lost their lives in a tragic accident.
Now with these school shootings and the ease of access, that freedom from fear is gone. We sit in our schools and we're scared. And so I think a conversation needs to be held by our politicians and collectively as a country as well.
Just with all this stress, the fact that you can then go out and get a gun, it's just not a good combination. So I think you should have to be 21 at least to buy a gun. You know, you could put as many officers as you want. You can put metal detectors, fences around the schools, make it a prison if you want, but it's not going to stop kids from feeling safe or make kids feel safe.
And what is it the students are most interested in protesting?
In my opinion, the walk is definitely a symbol of basically being able to honor those who shouldn't have been gone in the first place, and definitely just being able to show hey, we're the students, we're here, here we are showing what we believe in, and we should fix this problem.
I know from the people who I've talked to that we want our school to feel like a safe place, and right now with everything that's going on in the world and everywhere else feeling dangerous, now our schools are just kind of like a place where we don't totally feel like we're in control of everything, and that's kind of scary. So we want to not only have a memorial for the students who were killed in this tragedy, but also to kind of say, hey, we are speaking up against this. We want to say that we are not going to stand for being scared in our schools anymore.
I know in some schools, students have wanted to start the conversation where adults weren't necessarily interested. Do any of you feel like all of a sudden now they want to hear you where before they did not? Is it different at all? Has the shooting maybe woken some of them up? What do you think the effect has had, not just on you, but maybe on parents and school administrators?
I honestly feel like they should have become more aware, but now soon it's affecting more high schoolers and also younger kids as well. They just now want to hear us, and I wish they would have heard us beforehand.
AK, what do you hear most from students? What are their greatest concerns? Do they talk mostly about gun violence, or is it about bullying, or is it about mental health? What kind of feedback do you hear the most?
Well, when we've been talking, the news of our walkout has been spreading. A lot of the talk has been about what specific gun reform that we want to achieve. And for us, the walkout means no matter where you fall on the political spectrum, is that the movement, the Never Again movement. Simply put, we don't want this to happen again.
Do any of you think that a similar school shooting could happen at your high school?
I think that a lot of schools where it happened were schools where they said it would never happen here, so it doesn't feel like it would ever happen, but then it could really happen anywhere.
Right now, in order to feel safe, what is it you would like to see?
Like I said, raising the age limit to 21 would be a great start. And I know our school has started a safety task force. And so I think schools across the country should be doing that, of saying, what are our plans to do to stop this? And the actual logistics, because those need to be addressed.
You know how we do fire drills and different lockdown drills? it might seem like it might be extreme, but I feel like we should have a drill just in case a school shooting takes place.
It's interesting. Not one of you mentioned arming teachers with a firearm. Would any of you think that that's a good idea or that you would feel safer? What about you?
No. I know, like, if it had to happen, I know teachers who I would trust if they had a gun, but otherwise, I don't think there's a need for it. I don't know if it would help. I don't know if students would end up being able to get their hands on a gun because they know what teacher it is, or even if they don't know, if they just figure it out.
Personally, I would say no. In a situation where there is someone with a gun in your school, it's that instant fight or flight. And if you're a student, you're probably not going to fight the person with a gun. Your instinct is to run. So you have crowded hallways with children running all over the place, and now you have crossfire.
Isaiah, you talked about empowerment and you talked about kids getting more involved. Do you really see this as a catalyst of getting more of that type of interest at your school?
I definitely say that this is a prime example. This could be our first step in the door because at the end of the day, we're the next generation and we really truly do have the power to change the world.
Before we go, we have one last question. What is it like? I know you can't really compare it because you've only been in high school for a few years. What is it like to be a high schooler these days?
It's intense. Like, even just without any of this other stuff going on and all of the pressure to be doing well and to be doing well in school, to be doing well in extracurriculars, and the idea that in a few short years you'll be going off into the world that has become kind of a scary place is very intense, to say the least.
I would say it's definitely extremely stressful. You know, like I was saying before, with social media, you're looking at what school your friends are getting into, what team your friend is on, if you made varsity, if you made JV. There's just so many different factors of you always seeing what everyone else is doing. You don't really get a chance to slow down. So I think it's definitely a really stressful time for us. I
will tell other students that don't be afraid to be yourself because you know, there's going to be some of those judgmental people out there, but at the end of the day, you know, you have the power to definitely make a difference, whether it's by yourself or whether it's with others, because any small impact that you make will end up turning into something big. So don't be afraid to try new things. Don't be afraid to be yourself.
This has been illuminating. You've all done such a great job of really representing your schools and yourself and your generation, and we learned a lot. We appreciate your time.
Very impressive. Thanks for coming in. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And if you'd like to watch the extended version of our interview with these students, you can do that right now. Head on over to WGRZ.com. You can also find it right now on the free 2 on Your Side app. And we'll say it once again. They were very, very impressive. We want to thank each and every one of them and their parents for coming in. It was great to meet them and very interesting to hear how they all mentioned how stressful it is with social media to be a student today also.
Yeah, it really drove the point home how these smartphones have changed the lives of our young people in schools. And even though that shooting was thousands of miles away, it could have been one community away, and how it's impacted them. You know, they're very aware of what happened and how it could happen in their own school, and they want to be a part of the solution. So I give them a lot of credit.
And I love what AK said about this represents never again.
Right.
So that this never happens again. They're all terrific kids.
Yeah, that's their hope. So again, check it out on the web and hear more of what they had to say. I think you'll be impressed as well.